I'll call the Planning Commission meeting to order for August 13th, 2015. Mr. Anke, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, you can. Commissioner Chapel.
Present.
Coffin.
He's in the hall. Right there.
Present. I
Present.
will say he's present.
Commissioner Coffin.
Present.
French. Ogden.
Present.
Powell.
Present.
You have a quorum, sir.
Item 2 is any public comments. If anyone would like to address the Planning Commission tonight, you need to sign the paper, please. And if you want to address this, you need to come to the podium. If you want to wait until we discuss the items and address it at that time, I'll be more than happy to recognize you at that time. Item 3 is approval of the minutes for July 9th, 2015. Could I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. We have a vote, please, Mr. Rankin.
Coffin.
Yes.
Chapel.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
The votes from the July 9th meeting are approved as written.
Item 4 is discussion approval of application 2015-2011-3057 regarding a request to rezone property located at 1911 East Oklahoma Avenue from R1 to C3. Could we have a staff report, please, Mr. Rankin?
This subject property is the former location of Wade's Hardware. You should have a map indicating the subject property. Back when the area was designated as to appropriate land use, there was a hardware store there and a shipping operation, I think, for container gas, cylinders of gas and so forth. And that particular property at that time was granted non-conforming use when the rest of the property around it was zoned R1 for single-family homes. It was given a special exemption because it was there in operation at the time of the zoning. Since that time, the business has not operated for a period of 12 months or longer, and when your non-conforming use is granted and it becomes not used for a period of 12 months or longer, it reverts that property, the non-conforming use is dismissed, and that area becomes what the rest of the property is currently zoned, which is R1. So the residents are now seeking to have it rezoned back to a commercial use.
Thank you. Any comments from the commissioners? I would entertain a motion if there's...
Well, if I might ask, what's the property on either side?
Sir?
What's the zoning on either side of it here? What are these zonings?
You should have
The bank should be, it'd be commercial.
Sure.
it's commercial across the street. The Farmer Merchants Bank is there. It's commercial on the corner because we're entertaining a development of a car wash right next door.
Mr. McDoff, what's your zone? That'd be the property that butts it, isn't it?
That's a PUD, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
So you can probably.
R5 probably. It's probably
Well,
R5.
It was, that area was a UDAG grant that was developed and the hotel was built, and it was zoned as a PUD, a planned urban development. And some of it was commercial, some of it was residential, and some of it was different types of commercial. So it could sustain the residents that were there. Back in about 2004, the owners of the property had the entire PUD rezoned as commercial, which does support residents as well. So everything to the south and east of it is commercial, and across the street is commercial. There might be a residence directly east of the subject property, but
There is Old Cordis property.
yeah,
And there's a residence there, but that's across the bank.
where Smith lives.
West.
Anyway, notification letters were sent out to all the property owners within 300 feet, and we didn't receive any
Okay,
complaints.
that was going to be my next question, so no concern.
No concerns.
Would anybody like to comment? If you do, I'd like you to come to the podium, please. If not, I'd entertain a motion.
So made, go along with the request.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Can we have a vote, please, Mr. Ranky?
Chapel,
Yes.
Coffin,
Yes.
Ogden,
Yes,
Powell.
Yes.
The application is recommended to approve to City Council. If you could contact Cody Mosley, he'll give you the date of that council meeting if you'd like to attend. Thank you.
Thank you all for showing up. Item 5 is discussion and approval of application 2015-2011-13041 regarding a request to rezone parcel number 18103-00000-0000 from A1 to C3. Could we have a staff report, please, Mr. Ranky?
This subject property, the applicants are seeking rezoning from an A2 agricultural zoning to a C3 commercial.
Bottom piece.
The
this.
property is on
I'm not sure.
the north side of College, East College at I-35.
Mr. Wiles, could I ask you to come to the podium, please?
6 letters were mailed out to property owners within 300 feet of the property,
Joe.
and no objections were heard.
You say the bottom of this is College Street, correct? Coming in off
Yes.
College, the
Yeah.
drive?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that the, if we were looking at this map, is this green area right here?
Yes, sir.
That's part of it? It's
Yes,
just-
sir. The main part of that drawing is built on that. The rest of the property is for future development.
Okay.
The main part of that drawing is consistent in that first 9 acres.
Oh, just in the green area?
Yes.
It's not including the entire property?
It does not, we have not expanded, as is notes there on the plan to the north.
Mr. Wiles, are we rezoning just the green strip or all the property?
you're asking for both.
For
of-
both properties,
parts.
the whole thing?
Commissioners, the city engineer will do a study on the drainage, and it would have
As
to
our
meet those
engineer-
requirements.
This property actually runs from College Street north along I-35, be East College. The green area that's
But you're
there
getting-
and the dark area, it's
Your
all
applic-
still
your
A1, isn't it, Mr. Hanky? Is it A1 or A2?
A1.
This would be
Okay.
orange.
A2.
The two properties, the little
A2.
green area and the gray area on the map there,
That are
they're all
black.
zoned
Well,
A1.
let's see what,
And could you tell us your name, sir, so we could, for the
Terry
record?
White. In answer to your question, my concern would be, or not, or at least my question would be, that area is becoming so commercial that would there be a need to widen College there in the future? Should you save some land there for that, or there's going to be ingress and exit, I'm assuming on the corner of Heather and College where this tractor supply place will be, where they're going to be coming in and going out, not just one entrance, but as I understand it, there's going to be one on College as well. And then his entrance will be right there as well.
They should, Mr. White, I believe, they should have a 66-foot easement like the county usually does on roads. I'm almost positive that would be,
Well, I'm sure
College
there are
would have a
easements there, but
66-foot
that
easement.
wouldn't have anything to do with the subject property being
which
rezoned.
they could four-lane it,
No.
you know, with 66 feet if they needed to.
Does anybody know how much of the area to the west of I-35 is state-owned property? How far their easement goes west?
Probably up to the property line of the, you know,
I would say it would go to the green, the end of the green going to the west, I'd imagine,
On there.
because the state usually maintains on any overpass the
So
right of way
When
in case they
cities
want to
have,
put an exit in.
you know, it's very common for cities to have an exit off of I-35, and then you have a service road, and all along that service road are all the various businesses, and see them in Norman, and I don't want to compare us to Edmond, because we're not Edmond, but I mean, you see them in
Like the
Edmond. you see
property
'em-
south of this.
You see them everywhere, you know, and then, so this would not be able to happen going north on I-35 if there were to be well, there's already an exit there, but in other words, it seems like this area is becoming chopped up and not very well planned out as far as having a service road and then develop on the side of the service road. This is kind of,
Well, my understanding, Mr. White, what we're looking at is this area would have two entrances into it, the way he has it laid out. And there would not be any type of service road along that, along I-35, because they're building clear to their property line to the east.
well, there will be two entrances on this?
On College, yes, sir.
Right.
He's showing two entrances coming into it off of College. Mr. Wiles,
Yeah.
with your east entrance, it'll basically line up with the road that goes into the development south of that?
Into the sleep in and stuff like that, or not?
We are currently about 20 feet off of it being
East or
straight in.
west?
East, it's a little bit to the west.
Okay.
That's as close as the state will allow us to break that easement. That's as far to the east as they'll allow us to break that easement.
That's in case they ever put an exit in right there.
That's in case they ever use that as an exit. It'll only be an exit. I don't foresee any reason that they'll ever put a service road, as his recommendations were. But they did allow enough room to make an off-ramp, I believe, which
Okay.
the
And
it's hard
off-ramp,
to,
So
it's
it's
hard
right
to
here.
imagine it being an off-ramp as it is, as close.
There's
as
only
it
half a
would
mile
be,
south,
To
right?
the
because
other
you
one.
very rarely have two.
the
exits that
the
close
state
together.
represented to
Halfway out
me, because
apart.
that was one of our questions. The state represented to me that they have no intentions of putting in an off-ramp at this time. And to answer the other question is, we are required a 65-foot setback from College for expansion of College. That's why our drives are so long. That way they could cut the drive in half and still have a drive entrance. That's why we set
In case they
the
ever did want
drives
that,
back so far.
Okay.
We'll all be dead.
I imagine the city has an easement through there. Isn't that the water line runs on the north side of the road going to Langston there, doesn't it? So you have an easement there, the city does
I think it
somewhere.
does, huh? Yeah.
Would anybody else like to address the council?
The major concern that I've heard is about the privacy fences for the residents that are out there. I think Terry mentioned that the last time he was here, and he sounds like he's willing to provide that.
Indicated as well as on the application, we do intend on doing no manufacturing, and we can also stipulate to put in a privacy fence for the residents nearby as well. On the
Commissioner-
resident,
And just for the record, manufacturing wouldn't be allowed with this.
No manufacturing.
no
with
manufacturing is allowed.
With this
Zoning.
change.
Yes, there was a, if you look under special conditions in C3, there was some kind of special condition in there that Cody recommended that we write that we're not going to do that. And that's
Okay.
what we indicated.
Go ahead,
Commissioner
Mr.
Chappell, part of the civil plan review on developments would include, because there's city ordinances that require softening or buffering between two different zoning types.
Okay.
So they would have to put up maybe a fence and some natural barrier like trees or
Okay,
something.
that's good to
Could they
know.
even get away with putting like a big dirt berm?
Just
you
something
know,
so that maybe
landscape
headlights
trees or
coming in
something?
and out wouldn't disturb any homes in the area.
And further comment on that, as the engineers design the plan, we have opted that we may end up only having 2 rows of buildings, which would push the buildings about a 40-foot setback away from the adjacent property. So we could put in shrubbery and a drive on the adjacent property side so that there would be a set away from the actual property itself and not be right next to the building, not have the building built directly off the property line or, within easement rights of the property line.
Okay.
Anything?
Mr. White, have you got any further concerns or thoughts?
Just the watershed.
And-
We're looking at that.
Our engineers will definitely take care of that because we don't want to push into.
Does that watershed drain into your pond, Mr. White? Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the applicant's request and contingent on a couple of the criteria that we did note, as best we can do that.
The fencing.
And fencing.
Fencing and your no manufacturing, what are the other indications that you put in there?
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Ike, can we have a roll call, please, or a vote, please?
Coffin,
Yes.
Ogden,
Yes?
Chapel, Powell.
Yes.
The motion is approved as submitted.
Item 6 is request for future items of discussion. Mr. Hanky?
I don't have any future items to discuss on my agenda. I'm sorry, I'm just standing in for Cody tonight. I don't know if he'll present some at the next meeting or not.
I think we've got a plat coming up at the next meeting that I know of, a final plat for approval, but That's all I know of. Item 7, staff comments.
We have none?
Items 8, commission comments.
Not from this station.
I would like to ask Mr. Hanky, do we need to have a vice chair, since I'm chairman, in my absence?
Yeah, there should be a vice chairman, and if the situation would arise where the chairman and vice chairman are both absent from a meeting, the next senior member would take over.
Okay, could we do that tonight, or do we need to put that on the agenda for next round?
I would do it, you have a full complement of commissioners at the next meeting, I would do it then.
Okay, thank you.
Could you ask Cody to put that on for our next meeting
I
then?
will.
Thank
Item 9 is adjournment. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
you. So made.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.